back in the basement. Wanted to do a quick video about my newest pickup. I'm not going to reveal it yet, but if you already seen the headline, you might know. But anyway, so just to backtrack, I've always been a fan of small sensor compact cameras. I've done multiple videos on the Fuji X30, the Lumix LX7, Ricoh GRD4, and I've owned lots of cameras in the past before my professional life as a photographer or semi-professional life as a photographer. I've owned a lot of G7X, Canon SX740. Like I've had a lot of cameras, Nikon P7800. So I have a love for those small sensor cameras, particularly as an alternative to your smartphone. Because as we know, the smartphone kind of sort of killed the compact camera, the everyday, camera, not the professional camera, but the everyday compact fit in your pocket camera. The phone has done a pretty decent job at shrinking that market and to some degree killing it. But I think we've seen a resurgence in recent times of the digicam idea that a camera is still better. Like a dedicated camera for those who really want to be serious about photography is better than your phone. Now, the phone, I still value the phone for many reasons. Because it's a jack of all trades, master of none, it can do some things that your camera can't. Dedicated camera at least. It's connected all to the internet, most of us, so we can upload things straight to the net. We can text our family, share in many other ways. We could also edit. Like I have Lightroom Mobile, so if I have a raw file that I can get to my phone through your card reader, obviously USB-C, we can get those files and really tweak those images and have full control, mostly full control to edit and share in a very professional way. So a phone still has value, as well as it having a camera. I personally shoot with an app called ProShot, which gives me pretty good manual control of the camera. That being said, if I'm not in the brightest of daylight, or I simply don't care about the noise that the phone produces, the camera still doesn't really give you enough camera-like control to really replace a compact camera. So in my opinion, I still value a compact camera. So with all that being said, let's talk about the camera. So my latest pickup is the System TG7. Now you ask, why would I pick this camera up? Obviously, I'm a digicam fan. I like small sensor compacts. But other than that, it's also a replacement for my GoPro. And so since it's a replacement for my GoPro, I can be more photocentric. So I did use a GoPro in the past, and although it's good for video when you're on vacation in those, beach-like environments and poolside, stuff like that, it's made for video and not photos. And I'm a photocentric person first. So this kind of I never really looked into these tough type cameras or these waterproof cameras. Never had one, never looked into it, but reviewed Micro Four Nerds talked about a TG7 as an everyday carry camera you thought you never needed. And I have to agree with her. This really is probably the best digicam you could get brand new right now. Because if you're talking about replacing your phone, everyday carry, GoPro, it fits all those boxes because it's really small, right? It's a tiny camera. The form factor doesn't change like a phone, right? So if I turn it on, it does not, the zoom, the 25 to 100 zoom, there is no external zoom. Everything happens internal. So the form factor doesn't change. It's waterproof, dustproof, resistant to falls from a certain height, has 4K 30 video, has an f2 aperture at the wide end, so decent in low light situations. And the image quality is really good for the sensor size. So I've been using this for about maybe 2 to 3 weeks now, and shooting it in different situations, I find it very good. I like. I mean, it has a dial on the top for exposure compensation. The only downside is that this camera does not have a manual mode, so you have to treat it like a true point and shoot. But it does have a way to set the shutter speed limit along with the ISO. So in that regard, you can have some control over it. So I just wrap my head around it like I wrap my head around a point and shoot, instant camera like I like to use. I just go with it what it is. If I'm in low light, the really, really bad low light, I just turn the flash on and I just fire at the widest angle to keep it at f2, and everything works out. So I'm excited to use this on an upcoming vacation, and I will give you the full report on it. But I think this is going to be a definite keeper. Something that's pocketable. You could use it other than just, adventure type situations. You can use it just for everyday carry, to be an alternative to your phone, literally to be a companion. This camera has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, has the transfer, USB-C charging. So this is a modern camera, a modern digicam. Unlike all those other cameras that I've mentioned, they're all from an older generation that has, in comparison to this, right? I'm using this and I can tell you the difference. Those older cameras have slower autofocus. They're not as confident, and the image quality is not the same. So even though there's varying degrees of sensors, like this is a 1/2.3, then there's 1/1.7, then there's a 2.3 inch, then there's a 1 inch. With all those cameras, I would say the 1 inch and this camera have comparable quality because of the generation this is being built in. This is only a year or two old. So the technology, the processing is going to be better, even though the sensor is small, than it is on an older camera with a bigger sensor. So you have to wait, you have to think about what you value. When you're using something like this, the sensor size is not big enough to be worried about bokeh, but you are going to worry about low light, right? And light gathering. So that's where the f2 comes into play. So those compacts that I've used in the past have always favored, ones that had a maximum aperture that was very fast. The Lumix LX7 had a 1.4. Fuji X30 had an f2. This has an f2. The Fuji XQ1 had a 1.8. The Nikon P7800 had an f2. So if you in that f2 or better for something this small, you can kind of push it to that 800 ISO and be fine. So if you treat it like a film camera, again, shoot at 400 in the daylight, shoot at 800 indoors with flash, and your mileage may vary on how you approach that, but I think that's how you will get the best results. And again, these aren't professional cameras. These are made to be fun. So shoot them, have a great time, and to me, this is the best of them all. The processing is fast, the autofocus is confident, and you can take it anywhere. So why not this?